Okay, so day two of disassembly. Spoiler alert, I'm still not done disassembling. This has taken 3 hours today. So today I drained all the coolant, and I removed the coolant hoses and the expansion tank. I also removed the coolant tank. The coolant is kind of tricky. There's no drain plug. So what I ended up doing was I just pulled one of the coolant hoses at the bottom of the radiator and just let it pour out into a bucket underneath. So since the oil and the coolant are all pretty much brand new except for, 2 or 3 engine starts, I'm saving them in a bucket um, so that I can reuse them when I put the engine back. So you want to cover, if you do that for whatever reason, you'll want to cover your bucket or your container, make sure it's sealed so that no dust or anything can go inside. As you're disassembling, you also want to cover up all the engine holes and all the holes where bugs or dust or any little bits can get in. So the plenum, the intake area, when you remove the exhaust, you want to, which I haven't yet today, but when you remove the exhaust, you want to cover that with masking tape. All the oil ports and the coolant ports you will want to cover with some maybe painter's tape or duct tape or something like that. So besides the coolant stuff, I also removed the rest of the oil hoses. Some of these were tricky because I had to get a wrench in there and sort of untorque it, which was difficult. And then just the spacing is really difficult for some of these. Also removed the alternator and the starter. And I taped up the cables and the wiring onto the engine nearby so that they don't sort of get fouled when I remove the engine or put the engine back. And then I also removed the sump tank. Um, the alternator is not terribly difficult to remove. The alternator is mounted to these brackets, and the brackets are then mounted to the engine. If you just remove the brackets from the engine, it's easier to do. If you try to remove the alternator from the brackets, there's one where you have to like hold a nut in the back in order to undo the bolt. I think just removing the alternator via the brackets is the easiest. It's just 3 hex cap socket heads. The starter, the bottom, so you have to undo a few wires from it, and they're kind of tough to reach. So what I did was I undid the bottom bolt that held the starter to the engine, and then the top bolt. And then I removed the starter from where it's supposed to be mounted, just so I have a little bit more space to work, and then I could undo the wires more easily. The top bolt mounting the starter to the engine is pretty tight. You might want to get a low profile X head socket to do that one. I was able to sort of get my regular hex head into the cap, but I couldn't get a ratchet into the hex socket to turn it. So what I did was I got the hex head into the cap, and then I used a pliers to turn that slowly, and I managed to get it out. But the tolerance is tight. Still not done. More